Hello, welcome back. We're building a video game using Love2d and Lua. I think today we're going to be working on trying to get our lute system starting to work for our touch detection, so that right now we have strings on the keyboard for U, I, O, P, and we have frets for 1, 2, 3, 4, but we need to change this so that strings are played with WASD, and it kind of like locks us in place so we don't walk around. So strings would be WASD and it locks us, and we would need A and B buttons to be our frets. So we would have to, I think we have to change the order of our strings or of our frets so that we can get a more appropriate gradient of notes. So we need it to walk up. So if this is, let's just say it's C, we need C, D, E, and then F is the next string, G, A, B, C, D, and then E, F, G. So we'd have to change the notes so that they walk up using a quarter step at a time. So it's like the bass string, then a half note up for fret 1, another half note up for fret 2, and then another half note up for the next string. But we have to toggle our lute system, not if L is pressed, but if the item button is pressed when the lute is equipped. So we need to set a toggle that stops updating our player's position and animation if lute is toggled. So we've got a couple of things to work on. Then we got to work on the touch detection. We've got the touch detection working, but we need to map it where it would also trigger the string pluck depending on what frets are also held. Oh man, today's going to be a short day because I am falling asleep. Okay, first of all, let's try to get our lute toggling with a B button press when lute is equipped. So if we come down here and equip it, now we're holding it, and pressing O here with lute equipped, we need to do something special. I don't know where this logic should go. Probably in the play state, because it exists outside the character state, whether or not we're idling, whether or not we're walking. The only thing we want to make sure is we're not falling by the time we pause time or whatever, so that you can't pause time when you're in a mid-fall. Okay. I don't know. Okay, let's go to our play state and maybe see. Where are we doing the lute system? Is it in the play state? Yeah. So we're toggling L. Okay, so what we really need to do is check for an O press, but it needs to be once lute is equipped. So right now, we don't really have a way that says lute is equipped. We are rendering a lute. Once we click it, let me see, because we've got in our inventory, we've got we do item slot. Okay, so item slot. If our item slot at index 1 is equal to a lute, if the dot type is lute. Okay. So let's say let's say where we check this L press in our play state, we're going to say if L is pressed, then we're going to check, and it's actually if O is pressed, then we're going to see if the global item inventory at index 1 dot type, meaning the equipped thing. Now it's not dot type, it's actually the item list, item slot. So inventory, is it item slot here? Item slot at index 1 dot type is equal to double equals to the string lute. Then we would want to toggle our lute state. Let's see if that works. Okay, and it's not L, it's going to be O. Okay, if we hit O, we crash. So we can say if O is pressed and the global item inventory dot item slot, no, yeah, at index 1 does not equal nil. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I'm hitting O, nothing happens because lute is not equipped. And we come in here and hit A to equip it. Then when we hit B, we toggle our lute system and pluck a string on accident. Which makes sense because when we're checking O, we're also doing an O check for the strings here, which is incorrect. So at least let me double check that if we so like hitting O doesn't do the lute unless our lute's equipped, then it'll toggle the lute. Then if we toggle lute off and then equip something else and then hit O, we don't toggle the lute system. So that seems to be working. But we can still walk around. I don't know if I like that. Well, we can't really have that happen because we need the D-pad to be controlling the strings. Yeah. So we can't really walk around because we need every D-pad direction to be plucking different strings. So one other thing is if we pause while in lute mode, I guess that makes sense, right? It would bring us back. Or maybe we toggle lute state to be false upon coming out of a pause state. That kind of makes sense, and then you can't, well, yeah, I don't know. That kind of makes sense to me. Let's try that, and let's just say, before we toggle here, we're gonna go lute state. Is it global? Thought it was global. Lute state gets false. It's got to be something other than this. No, lute state false. Oh, well. Oh, it's local. Okay, so now if you're in a lute state and you pause, by the time you unpause, you're out of the lute state. We can change that. I don't know if we want that, but it was kind of bugging me, so what's next? We gotta do... Okay, we gotta change... We gotta change how we're strumming the strings. If we look at where we're strumming the strings, let's look for any time we do a P press, F2 pressed. Okay, play state and inventory. Okay. Play state. Okay. So here's where we're plucking the string. But we need to pluck the string not on... See, this is really tough. Because our input list is... Fuck. This is really quite tricky, I think, because if we're moving... Okay, so the thing is, if we're on a touch device, we can tap a diagonal, and we would move both up and right. And according to our input list, that is what's being that's what's happening when you press a diagonal. Is two values get put in our input list table. So if you hold the top right, it'll say right and up. That works on touch to modify our X and Y position by, a diagonal there. But and the thing is, if a touch is detected, it automatically changes that table. But if we wanted to do, because my idea here is to do right on the D-pad as our C note, as our starting note. So right on the D-pad. And then, so it would be the bottom string is right. Down would be the next string up. Left would be the next string up. Up would be the next string up. And then diagonals. And here's the issue. The diagonals... it's really tough because... I guess... I don't know. We might not have... I was thinking we wanted the diagonals so that we can play multiple strings at once. So diagonal right would be the bottom two strings. Diagonal left would be the next two strings. Up and to the left would be the second to last two strings. And then the up and right is the very last two strings. It gets tough because if we have sheet music that has those chords in it, then on touch, if you hit diagonal, both strings get plucked instantaneously, but on keyboard, 60 times a second, if you try to hold up and to the right, it might trigger on different seconds. So I'm trying to think of how we would trigger the string sounds. I guess it's the same thing, right? Like it's the same thing where diagonal would be a right and down, and a diagonal sound would be two strings, the right string and the down string. So we might be fine there. So right here, we have this note. It's just that I guess we can do this where we can say bottom string is D. Is that right? Okay, so let's do our correct notes. We've got D, we've got S, we've got A. Now, and there's another way to do this too, which we should probably be thinking about, and that is, hey, what's up, Addie? I think another way to think about this is once we add the touch detection, we want to make sure that this logic can scale for the touch detection, which right now it's based on the keyboard input. So we might be doing... sorry about that, Addie. Sorry, I don't know. You know, I haven't turned on ads for the channel, but I guess that doesn't mean they don't run ads. So maybe I should start doing the pre-roll. Maybe I should start doing the pre-roll so that it can be ad-free for newcomers. I'm still learning about that kind of stuff. I don't really know all that much, but we're making a little game here. We can equip our little lute and then play it. We need W to be the 4th string, and we need to stop our movement. Yeah, why is that? Oh, W, not E, yeah. We need to stop our movement if we're in a lute state. So I guess what we could do... Right, Glizzy? Yeah. Sorry. I'll try to run the pre-roll ads, I guess, and hopefully that like stops it for newcomers. I don't know. But welcome in. Yeah, we're working on the loot system in our game here, so we can equip it, and then now he's holding it, and then we can play. But we need to stop walking around when our lute is active so that we can just sit there and play without walking off screen. So I guess when we go to do our player update... Hey, thanks for the follow, Addie. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, good job catching stars too, Glizzy. Here, I can dump some more stars in here. So there's a couple of things. If we were to just say, hey, don't update our player if we're in loot state, then stuff like bad guys wouldn't be able to affect us because we're not updating any of the logic for our player, and we don't really want to do that. I think we just want to not walk our character if our loot state is active. So in our walk state, we can take a look and we can maybe just not walk if our loot state is active. Yeah, so we've got this stuff. Okay, so maybe we don't do... Wow, we need to delete all this junk. Okay, if we're not falling and we're not in our loot state, then go ahead and walk us. Let's try that. That's what I'm trying to figure out now, Glizzy, is like, it's not that we're... Yeah, it's like we're locking them by literally not updating our position if our loot state... So like when the screen gets dark like that, that's our loot state. And now I can strum and he's not walking around. So we did that by literally just saying right here, and not loot state. That means loot state has to be false. I mean, we have to not be in our loot state so that by the time we update our position, our character's position for walking. But I probably want to do... Do you like the Addie, you like the programmer art here? I mean, we did make the yeah, I think it's pretty apparent we made the artwork on that. But yeah, yesterday we got it. So like here's like a item inventory, and you can swap it over to the key item inventory. So if we wanted like a yellow spell, a yellow element in our hands, we can equip it there, and now we're holding a little yellow element. We only have the blue fire spellcast right now, but depending on which element you've got will change which spell you're casting. Oh shit. But we also have where you can pick like whatever color. If you want a blue tunic here, then you've got a different outfit there. The goal is that we'd render the current character right here, instead of our pixel art, our beautiful pixel art. So like you can kind of see your loadout. Like, hey, if we've got the green tunic on, and we've got the cyan spell, and we've got the lute equipped, that it would show the green tunic, the lute, and the blue spell up in the spellcast place. So we'll probably be doing that here soon, because it would be nice. So now I think what I want to do is make sure, because right now what we can do is if we're facing upwards, we can play lute, which I think I want him facing the camera by the time the lute is playing. So I think we want to, I think anytime we trigger our lute state, we want to change our animation to be idle down, I think. So we'd probably want to change the direction of ourself, and then maybe, we do this kind of refresh based on direction, and then we change the animation. Okay, I think we would want to do, okay, yeah, maybe we'd want to do that. So let's see, when we toggle in our play state, when we toggle our lute, which is an O press right here. Okay, so when we toggle our lute, let's modify our player, but our player here is not self.player. I don't remember. It's G player, global player. So we're gonna say global player, animations, we're gonna refresh. See, and this is like a little counterintuitive, like we're refreshing the animation that we were just at. So like the walk animation, whatever frame we were at, we're gonna reset it so that it defaults to the correct first frame by the time we go back into a walk animation. So we have to refresh the walk animation, and then we have to change our animation, and I would say our direction too. So our global player, we run the change animation method on our player, and we say idle down, because we know we want him to face down. But then, yeah, it should be this. Then also, I think we would want to switch our direction to down, just so it matches our animation. Let's see. So I'm looking that by the time we toggle our lute, we face downwards. So I'm not going to hit down, but let's see. Okay. Shoot. Player, a nil value, play state 139. G player, a nil value. Walk. Oh. This would be G player dot direction. Let's try that. Shoot. 140, direction is a string. Attempt to call field direction, which is a string value, but yeah, we're Okay, so if it's already a string, can we just pass it in like that? Attempt to call field direction. Okay, so let me just take a look at our player. I thought it was... yeah, direction. Down. Yeah. Direction down, and it is a string already. Oh. Let's... yeah, because we want to say... no, this should work. Because we don't know which direction we'll be in by the time we trigger the lute state, and we want to reset the animation for the frame we were at. For the animation we were currently in. Attempt to call field direction a nil value. Let's just forget about doing that. Let me just see. So we equip it, lute. It doesn't like it at 140. What is going on? Oh. We want to set our direction equal to the string down here. Okay, so it did make us face downwards, but after our lute ended, because by the time we get to our player update, I think, let me see, is the G player update in here? Weird that it works, but it works only upon us being done with, like, switching back from the lute state. So it does face us downwards, but only after the lute's done. So it's like we need to force it to switch, which I'm not sure how to do. I think it's because I don't know why it's doing that. Actually, okay, so we do change our animation, but then we say, oh, we need to do it. Okay. We just need to do it here. Upon a lute state being true, not a lute state being false. So let's try that. Nice. It does face him down, and it locks him in. Okay. Okay, sweet. Okay, and right now we're still changing the color of the strings based on the old buttons. So we need to change that. I don't know if that's probably in our lute string class, huh? No? Change animation. It should be anytime we do itemKeypress. Selected color. No, not this one. Yeah, there's a bunch of lore for the game. It's going to be, basically the whole game's about achieving balance in the ecosystem. So over here, there's these corrupted geckos. And all the creatures at the beginning of the game have this corruption to them, so like they're like oozing this like purple corruption stuff. And instead of, you don't go over with your sword and slice them up, you kind of like burn off their corruption, so you kind of like cleanse their corruption, and then they can kind of resume their normal lives and stuff. So it's not about killing things, it's about like achieving balance in the ecosystem again, because there's these pools of corruption that are spawning up. So there's 4 different biomes. We've only got like placeholders right now. So like the grass and stuff is the forest biome, but then there's a sand desert biome over here. This is all placeholder art for now. So like I gave myself way too many screens, but it's just placeholder. So like here's the sand biome, and we've got particle systems for these different biomes already. And then up here is like a lava mountain biome. So I made like a little red road up to the lava. So like this is where the lava mountains will be. And then there's lava volcano, and then over here there's some ice mountains. So like there's lots of snow and ice over here, and then forest. So there's those 4 biomes. And then you have different elements to spellcast that have different effectiveness against different animals in the different biomes, and basically instead of like in Zelda where you try to like when you beat a boss you get a dungeon key, instead of getting a dungeon key that like unlocks the next dungeon, you get sheet music basically. So like there's over here, these are the tomes that you get to unlock. So if by the time you beat the boss in the first biome, you get the sheet music for that biome, and there's a little riddle that you have to play the music so that you can soothe the ecosystem. So like it'll calm down the sandstorms, so now you can enter the desert, sort of deal. And then you get a new instrument at the end of every biome, and then you get a sheet music that you have to kind of decode and then find the right spot to play the sheet music at, so that you can unlock and calm the next biome, and kind of go through each biome and cleanse all the corruption. So like there's some more story I'm planning to on top of that, but that's the sort of overview for my current plans. So I'm hoping that this gets our strings to be blue. Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if you've seen the movie Princess Mononoke. It's kind of inspired by that and Link's Awakening. So that's in Link's Awakening you gather all the instruments to awake the windfish and stuff. But you can never play the instruments in game, so I wanted my game to have instruments you can actually play. Okay, so we've got the strings turning color now when we press them, at least. But we need to add our frets to our O and P buttons, not our number buttons. Thanks, Glizzy. Yeah, it's coming together. It's been maybe like 7 months of development so far, but we've got a lot of good stuff, including it works on mobile already, so we've got like a mobile deployment for it. It works on Windows, Linux, and Mac, so I'll be able to publish it, and hopefully anyone and everyone can play it, because it'll work on smartphone as well as every major operating system. So I'm super happy about that. And then we've got like if you're playing on desktop, it can be full screen where it's like this but full screen, or if you want to toggle on the Game Boy aesthetic or whatever, you can. And then on mobile it defaults to the Game Boy so that you can actually play, because it's not, it's listening for keyboard input. or it's listening for touch input for the Game Boy D-pad and stuff. So the goal is to just have anyone who wants to play it be able to play it. But here we need to put our other frets here. It's just that, is this already in lute state? Okay, yeah, it is. So we'll need to reposition our strings here. This will be O and this will be P. And for now, we'll turn off the 3rd and 4th fret, because now that we're switching to a Game Boy button system, we can't have access to all the strings and all the frets we used to have. Now we only have the 2 buttons, right? So let's see if O and P become our frets now. No. Oh, see? Oh, okay, this is something I never thought of. O can't really be our... O can't really be our fret, because O is what's toggling our lute system on and off. So we have to either come up with a way to get out of the lute system or do stuff differently here. So this is just on the release, but we need the frets on the press here. So if was pressed or is down, so O or O, then we are holding down the fret, and P. Okay. So we have to do something different to toggle off our lute system than to toggle O. When we go to our lute state by pressing O, if we're already lute state, let's see if we turn that off, we'll never be able to get out of lute state. But if we are in lute state, then let's say, well, see, this is already, okay. If lute state, okay, so if O is pressed, we're holding a lute in our item slot. Then we want to make sure we go down, change our animation down, and become lute state. Okay. I guess I'm at a loss of, like, should we have the start button take off our lute state so that we can use the A and B button to use frets? Because right here, we can't get out of lute state, but I can at least see if the frets are working. So, okay, frets do seem to be working. It's really tough to play this. It's really tough because it's almost like it almost makes you feel left-handed, because playing the guitar left-handed, because the frets would be on your right thumb, and normally people strum with their right hand instead of their left hand. Okay, so we need to make sure we walk up properly on the scale here. So let's see what our D note is. Actually, we can see what all of our notes are real quick, so we can see. Okay, so it looks like we have an A1 as a starting point. So we need to go our B flat 2 should be our S string at this point. So B flat 2 should be our S string, which is in our what, lute system? No? This is weird because our code is really messy right now. Like I think our lute stuff is just plopped into the play state right now, which it should not be. Okay. Okay. So F1, oh crap. F1 pressed. We really screwed this up. We really screwed this up because F1 is a half note down from an A flat. So we named this stuff wrong. The lute tuning I looked up was a D minor tuning, but everything was also a half step down. So I named it weird. But where are we doing this F1 pressed? Okay, well, if we treat, see how we're treating this lute string 1, 2, 3, 4. Lute string takes a string number. The string number is how it knows where to render. Okay. So that just tells it where to render, and then we named it incorrectly, whatever notes we did. So now that we have less frets, I want to reshift our notes. So let's look at our notes, and we'll make sure that every string is a whole step apart. Actually, 3 half steps apart. So we'll go to dependencies here. We'll see our notes. So this is what I'm calling F. This is what I'm calling A. See, this is what's so confusing about it. And then what's the next one? F, D, A, F2. F, D, A, F2. F, D, A. Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. Okay. This is really jacked up. Okay, for now, we're just gonna get the bass strings working. The bass, just the strings working. So this is string 1, open string. This is string 1, fret 1. This is string 1, fret 2. So this would be string 2, this would be string 3, that would be string 4. So if we use that as our strings now, okay, I think that works. That turns out to be all the notes we have recorded anyway. So we should have the same scale of notes even with 2 less frets because we don't have the overlap anymore. So let's try to get these are the strings A, B flat 2, D1, F2. So for me, I'm just gonna A1, B flat 2. Okay, so A1, B flat 2. So where do we go to play the sound of our note? Okay. Okay. So this is where we're playing all the notes. This is going to get messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a commit here before we change all the notes. I'm going to just say that this is toggle lute with itemKeypress. And then commit before note rehaul, note change. Okay, so these are our strings. Now we need to do this. We don't have 3 and 4 frets anymore, so we can get rid of those. We only have open note, fret 1, fret 2. So let's get rid of our other frets. Okay, so now let's make sure we just have the right string here. I think an easier way of doing this would be to just split our window. And we can do, what is it? We can do that. If we go into our dependencies, there we go. There's our notes. So now we can use that as a reference, and we can say fret 1 is this A1, A2, what note was in there? F2 was in there. Okay, I feel like this is wrong. Let's try W, which is our, okay. That is string 4. Yeah, let's start with string 1. Okay, string 1, it says our first note's F1, which even here, F1, I don't think we organize these by let me see. I'm hoping we organize these notes from lowest to highest here in the sounds table, but I don't think that's the case now, so that's why I want to check. Music. No, it's sounds. Lute. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's alphabetical, but that doesn't mean it's... Yeah, this is way off. Okay, so F should be our lowest. Okay, so F's our lowest. So that remains unchanged. And then these should remain unchanged. But here, we need to go 1 higher up to a B flat 1 and offset everything. So I think this needs to be a B flat 1. And then this needs to be a C1. And then this needs to be a D1. And then this needs to be an E1 and keep going higher and higher. F2. And this would be a G2. And this would be an A2. And then, is that the only note we have? A2. That should be the lowest. Okay. Let me see. We'll try it. Okay. So okay, so we need 2 more notes then. We need 2 more notes higher than our A2. Is that what it is? Yeah, we need 2 more notes higher than our A2 so that we can complete the non-overlap. But then the question is, does our default notes sound okay played with one another? Because the other way we had it was a very particular spread. So let's see how they sound. See, hear that dissonance? Okay. Okay, I think what I want to do is keep the original spread so that we start with an F1. Shoot. Okay, let's try this, because the multiple strings at once is what we're going for here, and that should sound good. So we should prioritize that over a perfect scale if you know which frets to press. So let's see. Okay, I think we do want this. Okay, it's a little weird because the trade-off we have is it makes it more difficult to do a scale because the intervals are different in between the strings. But what it does give us is, since the interval is different between the strings, like 1 and 2 is like a major third, I'm guessing, and then 2 and 4 is a, I don't know. But it sounds less dissonant than when we had it in the scale mode. So I think we want to maybe assume that this is okay, and then what I'll do is I'll try to come up with a song that we can play with just 2 frets and sharing these strings. And if I can make a song sound pretty good with the 2 frets and these 4 strings, then I think we're good. If I need more range, then we might need to manipulate the chords a bit more. And it might not be a half-step relation for every fret, because we want to go for different combinations of either strings or fret. So I'll play around with it. Wow, it's really thrown me for a loop because it's so weird that the strings are in the left hand. I don't know if that's coming from me knowing guitar and normally you're plucking the strings with your right hand, but it's really weird for me to try to do frets on the right hand. But it makes more sense because we only have 2 buttons on the right side. So it doesn't really make sense to put strings on the right side because there's only 2 buttons there. So yeah, I don't know. It's also thrown me off because the whole game so far has been strings in the right hand and frets in the left. So I think I'm just getting used to that. So now it's kind of throwing me. But I think this is okay for coming up with a song. And now that we're doing the Game Boy system, I think we're having 4 different instruments than just the lute. We're having a total of 4 instruments instead of just the lute. Back when we had the other system, I was thinking lute was your only instrument, but now with this limited, we only have 2 frets, which is 3 different notes per string. It doesn't allow for all that much variety or ease of play. So I'm thinking it might be fun to add different instruments so that we can keep it fresh and like play different sounding things. And I think it'd be cooler. So I have to think about what those instruments are. I'm thinking like a hand whistle maybe, where he's like, like a little hand whistle, so it could be like different. And then maybe I don't know what else. I'll have to brainstorm, but at least we've got the lute only equipping. The way we can get out of a lute state is to pull up our start menu, but right now, if we hit lute, it'll turn us downwards. And then we can't get out of the lute because the button we use to toggle the lute is now our fret. We're able to get out of it by hitting our start menu and then start again, but I don't know what makes the most sense for the game. We'll have to play around because we have to make sure it makes sense on mobile too. So I'll do some thinking about that, but at least we've got our lute working. I'm going to leave us a little note to maybe fix the instant we switch to a lute state, it renders the frets that we were just playing, and I don't like the way that looks. So let's just say hold off on rendering fret presses until lute state has been active. So we'll just leave that little note, and then we'll also git commit with the message. Oh no, did we do this wrong? Let's see. Okay. We're gonna say that this is added frets to O and P buttons for lute. Okay, looks like we did it right. Okay. All right, that'll be it for tonight. Tomorrow we'll probably we might start tackling the touch detection for our inventory as well as our lute. So that'll probably be tomorrow. We'll be doing some builds for the website deployment and the touch detection, because we haven't touched our web deployment since we added the inventory system, so we'll have to make sure it works on touch. And then we can get lute working on touch, and then we can play little lute songs on our smart devices. Oh, sorry about the ads. Sorry about the ads. Here, we'll read out to our buddy here. But thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Sorry for the ads, Glizzy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the channel. I post all of the Oh, gotcha. Okay. I gotcha. Here, I'll work on that. I'll figure that out because I haven't done it before. So I'll figure that out, and then yeah, we'll be back. I post all the devlogs to my YouTube channel at Finding Focus on YouTube. So if you want to see any of my programming stuff, I think I'm at like 450 episodes or something over there. I post every VOD over there. So if you want to see the very beginning of this project, it's up there. Or any commit, you can just look at the git commit date and load up the episode from that date if you're curious about any particular functionality. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good rest of the night. Here, I'll put, there's the git repo, and then YouTube Finding Focus is my channel over there. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, Glizzy. Appreciate it. I'll catch you later.